London was once the richest city in the world. Thanks to its vast empire, global trade routes, and close economic ties with the United States, it became the world's leading financial hub. But the two world wars changed everything. Britain was forced to borrow enormous sums from the United States, weakening its economic dominance. As America's power grew, New York gradually overtook London as the financial capital of the world. But there was one major difference between the two cities, one that would continue to give London an edge over New York. Although both were considered alpha plus global cities, their financial regulations were very different. While New York operated under stricter oversight, London offered a more flexible regulatory environment, making it especially attractive to international investors and global businesses. The US financial sector was subject to much stricter oversight and regulation. London, on the other hand, barely had any restrictions. British authorities generally allowed banks greater freedom to operate, with less direct government interference, making the city especially attractive to international finance. At the time, it seemed like London's greatest advantage, but years later, that very advantage would come back to haunt them.
I'm struggling myself, and I see more and more people struggling.
And they'll refer to us as the hate march. This is the part of the problem.
How's the house hunting going?
Not great. Every time I put in my budget, nothing's coming up.
And they see this level of poverty and don't see a way out of it.
The closer you get to this mosque, you're in more danger of being radicalised.
Housing, benefits, money, everything like this.
Welcome to Behind the Numbers, and today we will be talking about why the London dream is fading. It takes a lot of effort, time, and research to bring these videos for you, so kindly hit that subscribe button. In 1986, the deregulation of the UK stock exchange, known as the Big Bang, cemented London's position as one of the world's leading financial centers. Much of this transformation was centered in the City of London. Lower taxes, lighter regulation, and a more open financial system attracted investors and institutions from across the globe. But as the money poured in, it also brought a darker side. It made London a paradise for money laundering. The lack of regulation and oversight, combined with the sheer volume of financial transactions flowing through the city, created the perfect environment for money laundering. And the banks didn't care, as they were busy counting the cash. To put this into perspective, fast forward to 2012. HSBC, UK's largest bank, was fined around £1.2 billion for laundering money for Mexico's Sinaloa cartel. So, you can imagine just how much money banks have made over the decades by attracting wealth from every corner of the world, legitimate and at times illicit. Then there's the case of Vijay Mallya. After defaulting on loans worth billions and facing fraud and money laundering charges in India, he has continued living in London while Indian authorities have spent years fighting in UK courts to extradite him. Russian oligarch Roman Abramovich is another example. With a bid of just around $100 million in a controversial privatization auction, he gained control of an oil company worth billions. While the oligarch was wondering where to park his billions, London came knocking. It didn't just help clean his money, it made it easy to buy almost anything he wanted. The regulations were so relaxed that, with the right connections, anyone could anonymously buy properties worth millions. Many blame only the banks for this, but in reality, the government was equally involved. They even offered golden visas to anyone who invested more than £2 million. Many argued it was meant to drive economic growth, but in reality, it was a free pass to live in the UK if you have enough money. The biggest proof of that? Nearly half of the recipients are now under investigation. But you might be wondering, why does all of this matter? Because this is where London's housing crisis begins, and the housing crisis lies at the heart of almost every problem the city faces today. Today, the average monthly rent in London is over £2,700, and owning a home in London has become nothing more than a fantasy for most people. Every year, the city needs around 52,000 new homes, but builds only about 30,000. And that's why homelessness in London is at its highest level in years. But here's the shocking part. A 2022 study found that more than 34,000 homes in London have been left unoccupied for over 6 months. The problem is that land in London has always been scarcer than in most major cities. Foreign investors only made things worse, using offshore companies and questionable wealth to buy up the limited housing supply. and in many cases, these homes are left sitting empty for years. As a result, their value kept rising as the housing supply became increasingly scarce. London's housing market gradually stopped being a place for people to buy homes and became an investment playground for millionaires and billionaires from around the world. And the worse the housing shortage became, the higher prices climbed, making the investment even more profitable. And that's why, between 1995 and 2020, the average price of a home in London increased by more than £400,000. And it's not just home prices that have spiraled out of control. Rent has become just as unbearable. Now, the average Londoner spends around 46% of their income on housing alone, and the wages in the UK have remained stagnant for years. All of this has taken a heavy toll on people's quality of life. Instead of living in homes that meet their families' needs, many have been forced into cramped, overcrowded flats, and researchers show that living in overcrowded conditions significantly increases the risk of depression. But housing isn't the only way London is being squeezed. It's being hit from every direction. Take the transport system, for example. Compared to many other major cities around the world, London's public transport is fairly average when it comes to speed and reliability, but still it is the most expensive transport system in the world, and London has the longest average commute time in the entire UK. And apart from the housing crisis and transport, London's culture has also changed dramatically. London was once one of the greatest cities in the world, famous for its nightlife. But now, pubs are closing and the city is increasingly filled with people who may live in London, but bring their own cultures and traditions with them. London's nightlife is on the verge of bankruptcy. Pubs are closing because they can no longer turn a profit. And on top of that, local councils are squeezing people even further as they struggle with severe financial pressures. London was once the symbol of wealth and prestige, but a survey during COVID revealed that 27% of Londoners were living in poverty. And these problems don't end there. They also fuel crime. Last year, shoplifting in London surged by 35.5%. In 2021, 30 teenagers lost their lives due to crime. So, is London a bad city? Absolutely not. It is still one of the world's most influential financial, cultural, and political capitals. Millions of people continue to dream of living there. And for many, it still offers incredible opportunities. But the London that once symbolized prosperity is slowly becoming a city where ordinary people struggle to afford a home, spend hours commuting, and watch the cost of living rise faster than their wages. A place that once attracted the world's wealth now finds itself dealing with the consequences of that very success. The irony is that many of London's biggest problems weren't caused by a lack of money. They were caused by having too much of it and allowing it to flow with too few restrictions, whether it's housing, transport, rising poverty, or the changing character of the city. These challenges are all connected, and unless the priorities shift from protecting wealth to improving the lives of the people who actually live there, the London dream will continue to fade. Subscribe to our channel and don't forget to click the bell icon.